Welcome back everybody, and today we're going to talk about the OptTronik. So this is modelled on the original vintage limited amplifiers. So we've got a very stripped back set of controls on this. We can change what the VU meter is showing us between outputs at various levels and gain reduction, but we're pretty much gain and peak reduction. So we're going to choose the amount of compression that we want, and then we're going to push the output level. So very, very simple. It's fixed, but it's a very, very sought after particular sound. Really kind of creamy, smooth compression. Originally, these guys were limited amplifiers. We've actually added the compression setting here as well, so we can take advantage of the sound and the characteristics, but instead of that brick wall ratio, we can have, we switch it into compression and let it breathe a little bit more. So it's essentially a fixed attack and release control. However, we've got this emphasis control here. So flat is going to make it act very much just like a kind of full band limiting amplifier. Essentially acting the same with the whole signal. With this emphasis control, it's kind of it's almost like it's changing the attack time, and it's also kind of changing it into more of a peak compressor, kind of moving it away from a limited amplifier to the point where it'll start to react a lot quicker and it'll start to be more interactive rather than just kind of slowly holding things where you would normally associate these things to do. It would start reacting to more to the signal and adapting to what it's doing. So still kind of giving you that really sought after compression characteristic, but it makes it a lot more usable. So vocals for me is the absolute key for this guy. Again, going back to, I know we've done another video where we've had the 76 on the vocal, and I mentioned that I'll have that first and then I'll use this second in a subgroup. That kind of compression in series works really well. You know, there's a certain amount of gain reduction you want to get, but having it all done with one compressor can make it sound quite over compressed. It can be quite over the top, and you can get kind of pumping artifacts that you don't necessarily want. So for me, I'm using the 76 to kind of do all the really quick stuff and hold it where I want, and then I'm using the OptTronik after that for kind of much more character compression to then really smooth out and hold in where I want. And then again with this emphasis control, it's just really kind of tuning that until it's reacting to the source how you want it to do. This emphasis really is the key to this particular compressor. It's really wonderful. So again, we've got, you know, quite stripped back controls. You know, we can sidechain, we can key this in as with any of the other compressors. We can key this from any element of the console, an input, a mix, anything else like that. You know, so we can choose that if we want the kick drum to squash a bass guitar, if we've got this on a bass guitar or whatever. So we're going to leave that out for now. We've got the parallel path as normal. So we're going to go in and jump in and hear what this is doing to vocals. So again, we'll start with it out. So we can see what it's going to be doing. I've got the 76 in, and again you'll see how the 76 is set nice and fast, and it's just kind of reining in that kind of front end, and then we'll see how this guy reacts a lot slower. So we'll start with it flat, and we'll start with the peak reduction all the way off, and we'll put the compressor in. So we're going to start to dial in that peak reduction. So we start getting to compression there. So again, if we go into limiting, that's just kind of in brick wall limiting, but it's still very musical, still really usable. You see it's quite a slow release on this. So I'm going to go back into compress, which just again, you can just hear it's just letting that kind of front end through a little bit more, keeping a little bit of life to it. Then we're going to start to dial in this emphasis control, and this is really something that you kind of tune to taste. I'm going to bring this guy in. So you can instantly see it's compressing less, because now it's kind of concentrating on just the peaks rather than the whole signal. So it actually enables me to start dialing the peak reduction a little bit more. And you can see now it's just kind of really just kind of picking up the detail in the vocal rather than squashing the whole thing. But again, it kind of retains that characteristic of a kind of limiting amplifier, so you can hear it still holding the vocal where I want it. So as I say, that emphasis control really is the key. For vocals, I'm always finding that I'm kind of somewhere between 8 and 10 o'clock, around there. Really amazing compressor for vocals. Absolutely love this guy for holding things where I want, and just the kind of sound that it gives it is just, for want of a cliche term, it really is that expensive vocal sound. It's a really amazing addition to the deep processors. The other place where I've got it on this mix is we've got it on the backing tracks. So you can see with this guy, I'm still in compress. Dependent on the source sound, I'll potentially use limit if it's quite a heavy track. In limits, this works really, really, really well. With this particular song, the tracks are very much a kind of background thing, and they're quite ethereal. They're moving quite a bit, so I don't want to pin them. So there's not a huge amount of gain reduction, but you can see that I've got the emphasis control wound more towards flat, so it's going to kind of push the whole thing more as one rather than just react to certain peaks. So even though I've not got a lot of gain reduction, I'm still in compression setting. It's still going to kind of be quite hard with what it's doing. Cool, so we're going to solo a bit of the backing track. So you can hear on this, it's very much that kind of ethereal, floaty stuff. So I don't want anything really aggressive on that. I just want something to kind of hold it where I want it. You know, it's not hugely dynamic. So again, I've got that emphasis more towards flat. I'm going to put the compressor in, and then just as the signal comes in, just start to dial the peak reduction in just until we get some slight gain reduction. And you can hear it's just, even just at that, just a few dB gain reduction, the character it gives and just really kind of smooths out the source sound. And again, just kind of smooths out that kind of edgy top end as well. So then when I kind of put that back in the mix, so I think if anything, I could probably add a little bit more emphasis just for when it just takes off on that second swell. So let's just try something at kind of 12 o'clock. Same thing. So it's just really gluing it, it's really holding it there. So yeah, vocals, backing tracks, anything like that, but this guy's equally as at home on guitars or bass guitar or anything like that. We haven't got it in this track, but acoustic guitars as a kind of finisher again. Something like the 76 into this guy, you know, definitely try the compression in series thing where, you know, we're compressing on the channel and then we're looking at compressing into a subgroup or something like that to get that overall sound we want. But the sound of different compressors working in series is a really, really interesting thing. And this guy as a finishing tool on the end of all that is a really, really great piece. So again, throw it on everything, see what you get up to. Please let us know, and we'll see you for the next one. Thank you.